Seth Moulton, a former Marine captain, stood up and exposed Pete Hegseth, a man with no combat command experience who repeatedly boasts that accountability is back. Yet when Moulton questioned him, Hegseth dodged responsibility and deflected blame like a child. This is not leadership. This is dangerous incompetence at the highest level of the Pentagon, putting American troops and national security at risk under the Trump administration.
How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but...
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired?
Seth Moulton is no ordinary congressman. He is a former Marine captain who led troops into Baghdad, completed 4 combat tours in Iraq, and worked directly for General Petraeus. He understands war. He understands sacrifice. And he understands what real leadership looks like. Now, he is drawing on that first-hand combat experience to confront Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. But before you watch Hegseth begin to panic under Moulton's questioning, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Moulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
It's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the
Okay, so everyone knows it's Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah. What was the classification marking? Because
again, classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not trying to say anything.
That's what I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General.
Moulton didn't just question Hegseth, he trapped him with his own words. Watch carefully. Hegseth first claims everything from CENTCOM is classified, then desperately tries to deny it in the same breath. Classic deflection. But the Pentagon Inspector General's report later confirmed the worst, the information was officially marked secret, no foreign. Hegseth took that highly sensitive F-18 launch data and casually shared it on an unsecure signal chat, exposing the entire mission and putting American pilots' lives at extreme risk. This was not a simple mistake. This was reckless negligence. Any enlisted soldier or junior officer who did the same thing would face criminal prosecution and a dishonorable discharge. Yet for Pete Hegseth, a Trump loyalist with no real military command experience, it's just no big deal. This is the dangerous double standard we're seeing from this administration. Rules for thee, but not for me. National security shouldn't depend on political connections.
And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time...
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't didn't confirm any classification or
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything I
accountability?
share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me or not?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm just asking if it applies to you.
very successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
asking about
we
I reclaim my
actually put them
time.
in a place
I
where
reclaim
they
my time.
called for a ceasefire.
I reclaim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example.
Of course. Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told it's several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S.-flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration,
The answer is zero.
military vessels transit.
No. I didn't ask about military vessels. I
which
asked
would
about
be the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial vessels?
transit,
It's been several weeks.
thankfully.
How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have?
U.S. flag have transited the Red Sea? Let's talk about results. Hegseth's so-called successful operation against the Houthis cost American taxpayers hundreds of millions, nearly $1 billion in expensive missiles. And what did we get in return? No. Exactly no. U.S. flag commercial ships have safely transited the Red Sea since the campaign. The shipping lanes remain paralyzed. Yet Hegseth stood there with a straight face and called it a great success. When pressed on the failure, he immediately pointed the finger at the previous administration, the same tired excuse we've heard for years. This is the classic Trump-era leadership style. Take credit for nothing, blame everyone else for everything. Hegseth preaches accountability is back, but practices the opposite. He demands it from others, but never accepts it himself. While American taxpayers foot the bill for billion-dollar failures and our troops face unnecessary risks, the Secretary of Defense plays political games. This isn't leadership. This is incompetence wrapped in arrogance, and it's endangering America's global standing. And here comes the most shocking part, the systematic purge of America's top military leadership.
Well, would you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
for
me,
military
Mr. Secretary,
ships?
they're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer
ships
is zero.
through first.
I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was the Army JAG fired? Why did you fire him?
they all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just asking you why.
That we
And
need
you
at
probably
this
learned
time.
at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
each and
explain
every
why
one
you
of those
fired any of
places.
them?
Hegseth couldn't even remember how many generals and admirals he has fired. When pressed for a single reason, just one, he had nothing. No explanation. No performance issues. No strategic justification. Just, they serve at the pleasure of the president. This is not leadership. This is a dangerous political purge happening at the highest levels of the U.S. military. Firing experienced generals without clear cause, especially during an active conflict with Iran, is reckless and destabilizing. It erodes morale, destroys institutional knowledge, and weakens our national defense. Under the Trump administration, loyalty appears to matter far more than competence. Pete Hegseth is turning the Pentagon into a political battlefield instead of a warfighting machine, and the American people and our troops are the ones who will pay the price.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the Army's top officer, Randy George, asking him to put in his retirement papers and step aside effective immediately, according to a DoD official. George is a Biden nominee who had more than a year left in his 4-year term as Army Chief of Staff. His departure comes as the Washington Post reports 2 other Army generals have been shown the door. That's according to 2 defense officials who spoke on condition of anonymity. Want to bring in Washington Post Pentagon reporter Dan Lamothe. Dan, what's your understanding of what's happening here?
Secretary Hegseth has had an interest in kind of turning over the senior military leadership for some time here. He's been very pointed about doing so. He has not always explained why he's doing so. And there's a lot of frustration within the Army over that, particularly as not only these three gentlemen, but also several other names last year had presumed promotions that were blocked by Secretary Hegseth. In some cases, they would have become four-star generals or taken on different four-star general roles. Those positions also were blocked. So it's kind of a part of a larger pattern here.
Yeah, I was going to say none of this is happening in a vacuum because Hegseth has now removed more than a dozen senior military leaders from their positions, including all but two Joint Chiefs. You can see their names and faces on the screen.
According to the Washington Post and multiple defense officials, Pete Hegseth has fired or forced out more than 20 senior generals and admirals in a short period of time. Among them was Army Chief of Staff Randy George, a highly respected officer and Biden nominee who still had over a year left in his 4-year term. Many of these leaders were seasoned professionals who had served under multiple presidents with distinguished careers. Their sudden removals have created deep frustration and fear inside the military ranks. This isn't reform. This is a political purge putting loyalty to Trump above competence and experience, especially dangerous in the middle of an active conflict with Iran. So what is the real impact of this purge?
What's the impact of that, especially in the midst of an ongoing war with Iran?
I think the impact really is cumulative at some effect. The military is built where any one leader probably can be replaced, and within a short period of time, the military can move forward. But when you start taking out many leaders, multiple services, multiple Joint Chiefs, there's a cumulative effect to that where you start wondering how much institutional knowledge has been lost, how many points of contact that these generals have where they can reach back to allies, partners, adversaries, and affect change in a crisis.
Yeah, there's a reason that experience matters, especially in roles like this when the stakes are so high. And the stakes are so high given the news that we've been reporting over the course of the past hour. I wonder what you're hearing from your Pentagon sources about this search operation for an American pilot in Iran, if you have any sense of what led to that jet going down, too.
I don't at this point. I would note we did have fighter jets that went down earlier in the conflict. And in that case, they landed in Kuwait. Everybody was safe. This is a very different set of circumstances here with it being in Iran, potentially adversaries coming after the personnel down on the ground. I mean, there's a full crisis in the moment here to try and get these people back as quickly as possible.
Exactly as you just heard. In the middle of an active war with Iran, Pete Hegseth is gutting the military's senior leadership. Losing dozens of experienced generals and admirals isn't just disruptive, it's extremely dangerous. Institutional knowledge, critical relationships with allies, and rapid decision-making chains are being shattered. These aren't replaceable parts. They are the backbone of our national defense. This is not reform. This is a political purge straight out of the Project 2025 playbook, prioritizing blind loyalty to Donald Trump over military expertise and competence. The Trump administration is turning the Pentagon into their personal playground, where ideological loyalty matters more than winning wars or protecting American troops. At a time when global threats are rising, this reckless behavior is putting our military readiness, our service members, and our national security in serious jeopardy. Seth Moulton didn't just question Pete Hegseth today, he screamed on behalf of hundreds of thousands of American troops who are now at risk under this incompetent leadership. A Secretary of Defense who doesn't know how many generals he's fired, leaks classified information on a private chat app, wastes nearly $1 billion with no results, and purges experienced military leaders in the middle of a war. This is a genuine national security threat. The Trump administration is putting politics above the lives of our service members. Loyalty over competence. Chaos over readiness. We cannot stay silent. What do you think about this dangerous purge? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more hard-hitting analysis like this, hit like, share, and subscribe right now. We need to hold them accountable.